Hey everyone, Evan McKenna here from Permission to Game, wanting to talk to you again today about some fun, interesting topics. Today we're going to talk about 7 shocking benefits to video games and kids. Actually, why it's good for kids to be playing video games these days. I mean, we've already talked about why Fortnite's terrible and why we really need to be mindful of, how do we say, the time that our kids spend in video games, but there is a benefit to playing and why your kids should be playing as frequently as possible, honestly. But before we get to that, just want to remind you, please subscribe to our channel. Without you, we don't exist. So make sure you hit that bell for notifications, set up your notifications on mobile. That way you get our videos when we produce them and when you want them. On top of that, we also want to say thank you very much to our sponsor for today's video. Permission to Game is brought to you by the annual Family Fest, Denver's largest family festival taking place at the National Western Stock Show Complex, Saturday, February 22nd from 11 to 5 p.m. Take selfies with Clifford, free kids activities, vendors, prizes, and stage presentations. Now, kids are always free. Adults are $10, but if you buy your tickets online, the price is $5. Use promo code OCN1/2 at checkout. Go to eventbrite.com now and search for Family Fest to get your tickets today. Act now. The day of the event, adult tickets go up to $15. Family Fest is fun for the entire family. For more info, visit familyfest.com. Now, why in the world should we let our kids play more games? Because games, to some people are not going to agree with my point of view here. Because in my opinion, video games are awesome. That's right. Video games are amazing. I play them all the time. I let my kids play them all the time. I'm trying to get my wife to play them. But you guys aren't going to agree with me. Some of you are going to think that video games are a complete waste of time, which is, it's okay. I mean, they can be definitely a complete waste of time. On top of that, you're going to think that some of you might think they're just downright terrible and a waste of ideas and we shouldn't be playing them, period, that they're bad for you. And that's a great point of view as well. I completely encourage that. And in fact, I want you to have your own opinion. I'm not here to change your opinion. I'm just here to talk about mine. So, as well as that, we really should look at the way kids are using video games because it's everywhere. It's from mobile, I got my Switch over here. I love this thing, by the way. I play it more than my own kids do. But you got your handhelds from the Switch to your Nintendo DS. You got your consoles from Microsoft, from PlayStation, all sorts of great stuff out there. But at the end of the day, it's better than just sitting on the couch watching TV. So games should be considered as a point of interest for our kids. That doesn't really matter. It is true, they are kind of a waste of time, but they're also a learning experience. And we're going to get into 7 topics and 7 kind of key areas as to why games are beneficial. So, like anything, the first thing I'm going to say is games are good for you with moderation. And that can be said about anything we do. Similar to the video I already talked about, it is possible to spend way too much time playing video games, whether it's yourself as an adult, whether it's your kids. So keeping moderation in check is going to be one of the biggest key success factors, whatever you want to call it, to making sure that video games are great use and a great tool for your kids. I know that myself, with our kids, we figured out what works. Like I've said in our last video, it's, for my son, it's about an hour. If I give him about an hour and make him earn more time, the video games seem to be beneficial, even TV time. So for you, you're going to have to figure that out. What makes sense from a moderation standpoint? Some kids are going to be extremely smart and they're going to love playing and it's going to incite creativity. And so you might want to give them more time and they've earned it and it's something that's beneficial. Other people realize that games may be creating bad environments at home. I know that there's times when that's happened in our house. So we've had to limit that time. When it becomes a problem is when you use the TV, you use the video games, you use the devices as a means of parenting or a means of babysitting, and not being there to watch and take care of your kids and monitor what they're doing. So, but from a beneficial standpoint, just keep that in mind. Kids don't need to play video games and they don't need to play all the time, but when they do, moderation is to be kept in check, essentially. The second thing I want to say is, video games are creating careers for today. From playing the games themselves, people are making money literally just playing Fortnite. All the way down to it's a huge and extremely large growing opportunity for people that are looking for a career after school, after college, after high school. It's actually grown at about a 12% rate. The demand for video gamers and game developers is out there every single year, and it's only going to grow up with the technology in this day and age. And especially when video games become more and more integrated into our daily lives with how our kids and families operate, to how we just, it could be as simple as going to the grocery store. It could be a whole video game experience. But yeah, so video games from there, just last year, 2019, a 16-year-old won $3 million simply by playing Fortnite in the first ever Fortnite championship. That's a lot of money. And the other 99 players that played in the solo matches that were also in that same tournament walked away with between $50,000 and $1.8 million. Holy smokes, who would have thought that my kid playing a game that he's completely obsessed with that actually kind of creates problems at home could potentially bring him that kind of money? So it just shows us right there, anything that you put your mind to and you apply yourself to, they're going to be successful at. So video games, whether it's playing soccer or playing, going out and learning how to play a musical instrument, those that truly put the time in are going to be successful. Now, video games is a lot easier because we can get our hands on it. It's pretty inexpensive and, really just involves a TV and your time, or a monitor if you're a computer gamer, and your time to be dedicated to spend an hour or two every single day, kind of just getting better and getting better. Also, here's a fun fact. Did you know that when it comes to video games, 40% of all gamers right now are actually women? Now, you probably wouldn't think that. You would think that, oh man, and the stereotype is all boys and it's all men, and that's the ones playing video games. But believe it or not, if you encompass every single aspect of video games, from mobile gaming especially, all the way to console gaming and computer gaming, women take up 40% of that populace. It's actually higher than the amount of video gamers that are male adolescents in high school. That's crazy. And now they're finding that most of those women are interacting with it when they're on the couch, they're watching TV or they're doing something as a family. It's not really of interest to them, or they're in bed winding down. There's a lot of mobile gaming, especially going on amongst women within that age range, those adult women. But yeah, let's move on to that next point. So this is the point I actually really like and I have a lot to say about is video games are being used to build STEM skills. Now, if you don't know what STEM is, it stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. There's a lot of different ways we can actually apply some of the most popular video games out there today to boost those skills, to create opportunities in life, and to change the way we think about the most boring subjects we have here in school. Again, I am probably going to offend somebody by saying that, but nobody likes math. I hated it growing up. But if I had the opportunity to play a video game to help me better understand and learn and appreciate it, I probably would be doing a completely different career. So, video games are something I might want my kids to look at. Minecraft is one of those specific games, if you're looking at any kind of console, whether it's computer, they have it available on Xbox and PlayStation. I've even got it on my Switch over here. It's a great tool. It's extremely creative, allows my son, when I watch him play, to build his own world, to build his own universe, to explore, because a lot of these universes that people have created and made possible for others to play in are extremely immersive. There's things to find, the whole idea of what's next, there's always something else. And the cool part is it actually brings in spatial recognition as well. These kids are learning how to understand directions, how to understand where things are based on where they've interacted with it before. And it becomes much easier for kids these days to, grow and use that skill later on in life, especially when it comes to careers such as aviation-based or other civil engineering and things that are involved with actually understanding the spaces we're in. With that, there's other ones like World of Warcraft. Now, who would have thought World of Warcraft would ever be a game used for education? But believe it or not, Harvard actually released in their business report a number of years back that it was a tool used to learn and understand leadership and team building skills. That's something that we really need these days. We need people that are going to grow up and are going to be those that are going to lead others. And video games can do that. And in fact, it's actually happening even in first-person shooters. Again, I'll refer back to Fortnite. You can play modes where you play with other teammates and other friends, and you got to work together and stay together as a team in order to get to the end, to get to that objective, to be the victory royale at the very end of the match. So World of Warcraft is actually teaching you skills, even though you just think about it as a game that somebody or some, we'll say 30-year-old male would be living in their parents' basement playing for the rest of their life. Leroy Jenkins, one of the most famous lines that ever came out of World of Warcraft, it really is a tool that could change the way our kids and people are valued in society. It's kind of cool. Rise of Nations is also another one in there, and that one's an interesting one because that teaches us, about, or it teaches wrong word, it actually increases our mental acumen. Essentially, it allows us to understand, economics a little bit more and positioning, and also a little bit of history. It throws in there different aspects of how to learn and how to think, and it's not just one sole path that you're working through. You got to keep in mind everything you're working on, everything that's going on in the game, and how it interacts and affects other parts of that game. So it's pretty cool. So with STEM building, one thing we've done for our son is there's a really cool program out where I live. It's called Code Ninjas. Now, I'm sure they've got something local to you. They've got a lot of different franchises across the United States. But it's a way that my son has used computer gaming to learn how to code and create his own games in a sense. Now, I'm not completely, he's tried to show me, and to me it's confusing. I know a little bit about coding and HTML, but not to the extent that my own 11-year-old does at this point, just because of a really fun program that he's very interested in going to. It's 1 hour whenever you choose to do it. We go twice a week at this point. He's slowly working his way up. It's similar to karate. You got different belt systems to different colors that kind of match. He's got a sensei that teaches him. He's actually learning, and they're teaching him different words and ways to talk in Japanese. It's actually really cool, all because of computer programming and video games. Now, let's move on to the fourth point. So, video gaming can actually, and I truly believe this, can cut through discrimination. Because when you're playing a video game, it's not about people around you. You are essentially in a community. The idea and the walls that we create in society around race, around genders, around sexual orientation, around social kind of norms where your class system is essentially, is all blown away when you step into the game world and you hop online and you play with the other friends and other people that are out there. You start working together as a team because you no longer care who they are or what they look like. You care about achieving that goal together. There's a lot of different social norms that can be overcome by simply allowing the video games. It's a great way to think of, our kids could be taught ways to eliminate different forms of racism and other different social negatives that have been out there today simply by playing video games and becoming close to the communities that they're involved with online. Now, you have to be extremely careful because there still is bad things everywhere we do stuff, and you have to be monitoring what your kids are doing and paying attention to, because things that you may not accept or believe are acceptable in the household still can happen and occur and be brought into your kid's life through video games. But it does break down those barriers and social kind of issues that we have at stake. I'm actually pretty excited about that. I never really thought about that until I heard and read that further while doing some research for this video, and it makes me actually want to observe and watch my son a little bit more. Now that leads into my next thing. That online community actually improves social skills for our kids, not only online, but also in person, at school, at work, with their friends, because you're learning to bond with others around you. You're learning how to communicate, how to work as a team, depending on the game they're playing, because kids don't always get that. You don't have necessarily the school ground mentality where kids are picking on each other based on their skills or lack of skills within, the games they play, soccer, sports, tag, things at recess. That stuff goes out the window when you're playing a game together that you all enjoy. Then when they get done with the game, they go and they talk with their friends who also play the games. They get closer as a community with their friends, their classmates. It brings everybody kind of together in a common sense, like a lot of different things can. You could be a connoisseur of energy drinks, and I'm sure there's a community for you. You could love Volkswagens, and there's lots of communities for that too. So video games falls into that same kind of thing. We want our kids to be social, and we want them to get out there. The cool part is video games today break the barrier of or the stigma that has been placed on video games that you're a loner, you're all by yourself. It's a very seclusive way of interacting with the world. That may have been true when I was growing up, when video games online were not a thing, where you had to plug the console into your TV and you had to pull out the controller and you had to invite friends over to your house if you played with them. For the most part, a lot of stuff was individualized and very on your own. But now, since every single game for the most part is connected to the internet, to the online community, and your friends are probably playing it too, that changes the way the game actually impacts us and affects our social abilities. I know when I was growing up, I was scared to death to go up to the McDonald's counter and ask for ketchup. I know, it's a silly thing. It really did bother me. But today, my son at 11 years old is not scared of anything. I'll be like, hey, can you go give me some ketchup? Because I still do ask him that. And he'll walk right up to the counter, not a problem, ask ketchup, bring it back. So I'm actually kind of surprised and amazed with the different social skills that he's learned, and I would like to attribute some of that to this online gaming. With the next point, it kind of ties back a little bit to the STEM side. It also improves problem-solving skills, because a lot of games require on-the-spot, kind of fixes, things that have to be done right now. A lot of them are also puzzle-based. Even if you're playing Fortnite, there's a lot of what is the strategy going to be? It forces kids to think beyond just what's happening in this moment, because there is some of that reactionary skills that they do learn, but they also have to think ahead. What do I want to achieve? How am I going to get there? And what am I going to use that I've collected, or I remember this was back here, I got to go get it. A good example is Zelda, the Breath of the Wild, and the new one that's coming out this year is wonderful. It's a huge open world idea of exploring. There is a kind of a linear path, but you don't have to follow that. There's so many side things to do. And as you're going along, you will find and figure out things that you won't need until later on in the game. And you got to remember to come back, to figure it out, to use that item or that tool or that experience to advance yourself a little bit further in the game. And those problem-solving skills, that remembrance, is critical within life as well, because everything in life isn't planned out perfectly. You're going to have to make last-minute, on-the-fly decisions, and you're going to have to stay calm and cool about it to get to the final objective. And so those skills that are learned through problem-solving within the games itself are also very, very, very much utilized within your professional career, no matter what you do. This last point I really, really like, because it just opens the door to creativity. I'm making YouTube videos here for fun. I work in a marketing firm, and we do news-oriented stuff. And with our community now, it's all over the place. It's creative. It's fun. Video games actually help incite that playful, creative mentality within our kids. Minecraft is a great example, and I'll jump back to that, is that you literally can build and experience anything you want simply in that one video game environment. It forces, like watching my son, he comes up to me and he'll show me his iPad and be like, "Dad, check out this cool new house I built." And it's full of all these, he's put a bed in there, he's put a jacuzzi, he's done all sorts of stuff. I'm like, I wouldn't even known or thought that you at 11 years old would have figured that out yet. That is really cool. Architectural skills, other different things, the creativity kind of keeps your brain going, keeps that right side of your brain, thinking ahead and applying different skills and opportunities that eventually are going to be extremely beneficial. I know myself, as I'm going along here at work, things will be asked of me. I won't necessarily know how to do it, but I'll use some of that stuff I've learned throughout the years. I grew up playing video games. I did a lot of exploring. Tomb Raider was one of my favorite games, along with, Age of Empires. That was a great one for history. Loved it. But there's a lot of exploring that went along there. And a lot of, Tomb Raider especially, you'd pull a lever over here, you'd see a cut screen, something would move, you'd have no clue where in the world that was until 5 hours later in the game, and all of a sudden, there's the door. Now I got to go back to where I was, pull the thing, run back to the door. And you figured it out at that point. Those kind of on-the-spot skills and spontaneous kind of emotions and skills have been beneficial to me growing up. So I can only imagine what it's going to do for our kids these days with all of the immersive gameplay that they have within the different environments. Well, thank you so much for listening to my video today. I do appreciate you spending the last, several minutes of your life listening and kind of taking in these 7 different kind of areas and ways that videos can be beneficial to our kids. So I would actually invite you to leave me a comment. Like, if you hated it, tell me. I want to know. If you loved it, throw in your 2 cents, share this. Definitely don't forget to subscribe because, again, I can't keep doing this without you. So subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, set yourself up on mobile. That way you can receive my videos and my beautiful face. I'm just kidding. Anytime that you want. But don't forget, remember, this coming weekend, February 22nd, be there for the Family Fest. It's at the National Western Stock Show Complex from 11 to 5. Kids are free. Tons of great activities for them to do. Adult tickets are only $10. They are $15 day of. So save $5 by going online and to Eventbrite, searching for Family Fest and putting the code OCNHALF, that's OCNHALF, to save at checkout. Now, thank you very much, guys. Stay cool. I'll see you guys next week for our next episode. And we're going to have some more fun talking about video games. Have a good rest of your afternoon. See you guys.